Good morning. Today we are looking at Discovery Silver, a company which has recently produced the Porcupine Mining Complex of Newmont Gold. It is an extremely interesting company with the largest undeveloped silver deposit in the world, 2 producing mines, and an extremely big milling process. If you want to know why this is my largest position that I hold right now, why I still see tremendous upside in the stock even though the price has already risen by more than 900% in the last year, keep watching this video. Hey, quick disclaimer. I am not a professional advisor. The content in this video are for entertainment and educational purposes only and reflect my personal opinion. It should not be taken as financial advice or investment advice. Always do your own research and speak with a licensed financial advisor before you make any investment decisions. I may own positions in the stocks that I talk about, and when I do, I will mention that at the start of the video. This is not financial advice. This is just my personal opinion, and please do your own research before investing. Thank you. Let's get on to the video. Good morning, everybody. We are talking about Discovery Silver today. It is 6 o'clock in the morning right now for me. I am filming this before I go to work, so I hope you have a great day. Anyway, let's just dive straight into it. And of course, we are going to talk about the management of this company, the multiple projects that they have going on right now, including the recent acquisition of the Porcupine Complex. We are going to talk about the capital structure, the balance sheet, recent developments, and my opinion. Starting off with the management, we are starting to look at the CEO. Of course, he's at the head of the team. He's spearing the whole team with his strategic guidance. We can see that Tony McCoch is the CEO of the company. He has recently been the CEO of Kirkland Lake Gold, and he has been CEO there for 5 years, which is a relatively short time. But in that short time, he has increased the company's gold production from 315,000 ounces to 1.4 million. A 4-fold increase in 5 years is an extremely quick production scaling, and this company is now, of course, with the gold price, extremely profitable. And the more gold you mine, the more money you will make, the more acquisitions you can do. So Kirkland Lake definitely on a good trajectory because of the CEO. This spells a lot of good things for Discovery Silver as well, because the way that Tony has increased the production of Kirkland Lake Gold is by acquisitions. Kirkland Lake did 2 successful acquisitions during his tenure, and you can see that Discovery Silver recently buying the Porcupine Complex is also in the same path as Tony put Kirkland Lake on, and hopefully the same will go for Discovery Silver, where they do successful acquisitions and they increase their already expanding gold production. Either way, moving back to Kirkland Lake Gold, after the 2 acquisitions and after this man has increased the amount of ounces that this company puts out every year, it was sold to Agnico Eagle in 2022, and Agnico Eagle is now reaping the rewards from that increased gold production with the increased gold price. So you can see that this man is already cashed in this bull run. He has already made a huge sale. He's already made a company very profitable. And I believe that now with Discovery Silver, he is back at it again and trying to do it again with a bigger project, with a bigger team. As far as I can tell, Tony started in this industry in 1992 when he worked for the Kinross Gold Corporation. So he started at a very big mining company. Then he became the chief operating officer of FNX Mining, and afterwards he became the CEO of Lakeshore Gold, which was bought by Tahoe Resources, and after that he became the CEO of Kirkland Lake Gold, which he then sold to Agnico Eagle Mines, and now this man is the CEO of Discovery Silver. So you can see a very successful track record with multiple sales, and this man has worked for multiple big mining companies. I think that the CEO is very competent to lead Discovery Silver to also increasing their gold production on the scale that Kirkland Lake did. If we then look at the CFO, we can see that Allison White is in that position, and Allison is specialized in strategic business transformations, capital markets, and treasury management. That strategic business transformation is very interesting, specifically for Discovery Silver. With the acquisition of the Porcupine Mining Complex, Discovery Silver changed itself from an exploration stock to an actual gold producer. We are going to get more into that later in this presentation, of course. She has also been the CFO and the vice president of NASDAQ and TSX precious metals mining companies, although there are no names given, so I can't look into the background of those companies, so I can't check what their balance sheet is like and their share structure is like. So I do missed that bit of information. Couldn't find much of it online either, so unfortunately that information is missing. Other than that, they say that she has 20 years of experience, and looking at the balance sheet of Discovery Silver, I do think that everything checks out. The one company that they do name is Newmont Corporation, where Discovery Silver has bought the Porcupine Mining Complex from. So that does make sense that there is some connection there. Allison started her career as a consultant at Ernst & Young and KPMG, where she also advised companies on very complex business transformations. So again, you see that background coming back, and especially for Discovery Silver at this point in their journey, they are in a very complex business transformation. So it is good to see some form of financial knowledge regarding those operations in the CFO's background. If we look at the Chief Operating Officer, we can see Pierre Roquet. He is a mining engineer, 35 years of experience, and he has been the VP of operations at Kirkland Lake Gold. So you see a big connection between the COO and the CEO. And I always like to see that because obviously these two men have worked together in the past. They've created a successful business and they have sold that to a bigger company for, of course, a big profit. And that is very good to see. That spells a lot of good things for Discovery Silver and their future. This man was also the director of technical services at Lakeshore Gold. So you see that not only at Kirkland Lake these people have worked together, but also at the company they worked before that. So they have a long history. These people know each other. And lastly, not only have Tony, the CEO, and Pierre, the COO, worked together in the past, on top of that, Pierre has also worked on the project that Discovery Silver has bought from Newmont Gold. Pierre has worked on the Holy Pond project, which is one of the producing mines of the complex that Discovery Silver has bought. So there is also already pre-existing knowledge of the project that they've bought inside the management team. That is, of course, a tremendous added benefit of this COO, that he has worked on the project in the past and that he knows what has happened, he knows the technical structures of it, and he can use that to build forwards for Discovery Silver so that they can potentially not only increase the production there, but maybe even increase the ounces that they have in their reserves and their resources. One more thing to say about this management team is that the management of this company is quite large. They have a lot of positions. I believe that there are 10 to 15 different management roles in this company. The organizational structure of this company is getting larger the bigger that the company gets, and hopefully the management of this company isn't getting too bloated in the future, so that there is a clear structure within the company itself. That is the only thing for the management team that I am kind of worried about, seeing so many people in so many roles. Having said that, I do believe that the right people are in the right places at this company. I'm very impressed with the management team that I've seen so far, and I have great confidence that they will lead Discovery Silver to a very profitable future for the shareholders. If we then look at the board of directors, we can see that Murray John is the chairman of the company. He is also the chairman of Prime Mining Corporation and a director at Osisko Gold Royalties. So that is not Osisko Gold Development, that is not Osisko Gold, the gold mining company, that is Osisko Gold, the royalty company. So there are different names in the umbrella of the Osisko group, and this man is a director of the royalty division there. He is also the ex-president of Dundee Resources. This is a very big mining company right now with a market cap of, I believe, over 5 billion, and he's a ex-private equity manager. So this man has probably got a good relationship with big money and does have a lot of good connections that he can call upon for fundings. And that is always good to have in your team. Barry Allison is a mining engineer with 30 years of leadership experience, and he was the vice president of Goldcorp, also a very big gold mining corporation, where he successfully developed Mexico's largest open pit mine, and that is very important as we see later in this project. He was also a former director of Kirkland Lake Gold, so you see another connection to the management team with their previous past success. That is always a big plus. Then we have Jeff Parr, which is a vice president of Agnico Eagle Mining, and the ex-chairman of Kirkland Lake. So you see another connection here. So the connections just keep adding up. This team has been together in the past and they have worked together. And that is just so good to see that a team can stick together like this, move on to a new project and make that successful as well. That boosts the confidence that I have in a management team tremendously. Then we have Maura Smith, the VP of Exploration of Liberty Gold, and she is the ex-chief geologist of Frontier Gold, and she has managed a lot of exploration companies for large gold and copper deposits. So this is definitely more of a technical expertise that she can bring to the project for the exploration side. And we have Daniel Vickerman, and the people who have seen my video on BlackRock Silver will know this man because he is the vice president of corporate development at BlackRock Silver. He's also an ex-hedge fund manager, which have raised over $1 billion. So this man, again, has a lot of connections to big money. And that is needed for a mining project of this size. You need a lot of capital. You need contacts in your notebooks of people who have multiple billions to spare. In general, about this management team and these directors, I believe that these people are extremely competent. They have worked together in the past, they have created success, and they have the relevant experiences to bring this current project that they have to a success as well. The only point that I dislike about this management team is that the CEO is also on the board of directors. If that split could be done, then that would be great. And another question you could ask is, when the management team gets this big, when there are 10 to 15 management positions, isn't that too much for a mining company, or are all those positions actually needed? That is a question that I have right now. I hope that the company doesn't get too bloated with management positions overlooking the mines instead of the actual mining itself, because of course every manager costs a lot of money and every manager has its own opinion, and the more opinions that you have and the more discussions that you have, the longer things take, and the more, in the Netherlands we call it a ruis, the more discussions you have, the less actually is being done. So hopefully this company will not fall into that eventually. So if we look at the projects right now, Discovery Silver has two very distinct projects. They have the Cordero Project in Mexico, and they have the Porcupine Mining Complex in Canada. First, we are going to look at the Cordero Project in Mexico, because this is the reason why I actually bought this stock to begin with. It was just for this project. I bought it before the acquisition of the Porcupine Mining Complex, so I know a little bit more about this project than I do about the Porcupine Mining Complex, but this project alone was enough for me to make the decision to invest in this company. So the Cordero Project has a feasibility study done, so that means that it is a very de-risked exploration play. It is located in Mexico, and you can see that it is located near the US border, right there, next to the city of Parral. It is a project with an estimated mine life of 19 years. They project to produce 37 million ounces of silver equivalent a year. Well, if you don't know what silver equivalent ounces are, look at the video that I've done a couple days ago, where I explained to you what it actually means and how important it is to make note of that. They have proven and probable reserves of 300 million ounces of silver, about 850 ounces of gold, 3 billion pounds of lead, and 5.2 billion pounds of zinc. So you can see that not only is this project heavily reliant on the price of silver, it is also heavily reliant on the price of lead and zinc. So this is a multi-commodity project with a heavy lean towards the silver component. This is actually one of the largest undeveloped silver deposits in the world right now. And that, of course, in this bull market with the silver price going up, silver now being about $60 an ounce, that of course is worth a lot of money. The company states that there is still potential for future exploration, although the company isn't focused right now on exploring this project. They just bought the mining complex, so they are more focused there, but there is still more potential development here. So this project, once they decide to go and build it, once the permits are done, this project will be an open pit mine. Well, if you've seen my video about Silver Tiger, you will see that in Mexico right now there are potentials to get an open mining permit, which is very good. The permits for this entire project are submitted to the government, and if the government decides to accept this project and to extend the permits, this project will require an initial capex of about $600 million, but it is profitable at a price of $12.50 silver. So of course, if this gets into production now when silver is $60, of course, this is going to make a gigantuous amount of money. Hopefully that goes through, but Who knows what the permitting will do in the future? We'll just have to wait and see. Luckily for you and me, while we wait, this company makes money, as we will see in a little bit. But looking further into the Cordero project, this is where it's located. Of course, this is in Mexico. It's in the middle of nowhere. You can see that this is the project itself, or at least I think that this is the project itself. It was pretty difficult to find actual coordinates of this property itself, but here is an image of the land that they hold. You can see that this is the land holding that they have. They have quite a big land package here in Mexico. There are a couple different colors in this image. You get the green, the purple, and the red. And what I want you to focus on is the red right now. That is where the resource is. And this may be a trivial point, but this is something that I do like when I look at a project. The company has a big land package, and the deposit is located in somewhat of the middle of the land package. That means that in the future, if the company decides to explore more of this project, they have a lot of room around the deposit to go and look for more resources. If your deposit is located at the edge of your mineral property, well, then chances are that you are not going to be able to explore a lot. But in a property like this, they own everything. They have a big square and the deposit is located in just about the middle. I like that. That gives it just more room for exploration in the future. If we look at this image, and if you've seen my previous video, you will know what this is. This is a field exploration. This is a magnetic study. Here is the deposit located. You can see this red dot right there, and the company's already thinking about new targets that they can drill. They have some targets up here and they have some targets up there. I'll be very interested to see what these targets will yield, but as of right now, the deposit is located right there. And if we zoom into the deposit a little bit more, you can see that it looks right like this. There is a difference between mineral reserves and mineral resources. Mineral resources are a little bit more widespread and mineral reserves are a little bit more narrow. That means that mineral reserves require a bigger amount of precision to be able to state them. And you can see in this image two different things. You can see their mineral resource pit, which is the red line, which is a bit bigger and goes all the way around. It is a bit bigger than the black line. The black line is their mineral reserves. And these are the tonnages that they will use in their economic assessments, everything that is in here. If we look at this a little bit closer even, you can see that it looks like this. We have a computer generated image here of the mineral reserves and resources that they have. You can see that the blue in here are the inferred resources, the green are the indicated resources, and the measured within that are the red color. If you've watched my previous video, you know the differences between these resources, but if you haven't, go and watch that video because that will make this a lot more easy to follow. If we look at the resources that this project has, you can see that the measured and indicated resources for the silver component are almost 500 million ounces. So we saw that the reserves are 300 million, but the resources are 500 million. They have about 1.3 million ounces of gold, about 4.8 billion pounds of copper, and about 9 billion pounds of zinc. What I like about this project and what I explained in my previous video as well, I keep linking back to it. I will do that in future videos as well because it just makes my job explaining all of this easier if you understand what is going on as well. If we look at this project and if we look at the inferred resources, we will see that these inferred resources are relatively small compared to the measured and indicated resources. That means that this company has a good understanding of the deposit that they're working with. They understand where the resource is, how deep they have to go to find it, and what they have to do to get it out of the ground. And I really like that, especially if you see right here, the blue area visually is a lot bigger than the green and the red area. But they state that a lot of the resources are in the red and the green area. We can see that right here. So if we look at the top pictures right here, you can see that these are different cross sections of the deposit that they have. This line is the surface, and then the sort of grayish, very small line right here is the potential pit design. So this area, everything that is within this triangle right here, is what they are going to mine. And this is another cross section. This is a little bit further into the project. This is the line that they are going to be mining. Within that, they will state what kind of minerals are in there. So in the previous slide, we saw that a lot of the resources that the company has are in the measured and indicated category, and not a lot of them are in the inferred category. That is very good. If we then look at how those minerals are dispersed through the project, you can see different colors in this image. The green is the lowest grade, the yellow is a little bit higher than that, red is higher than that, and purple is the highest grade. So for the silver component, you can see that the highest grade in silver is pretty located towards the top of the deposit, with some higher grade right there as well. You can see that for lead and for zinc as well, although the zinc is a little bit more dispersed throughout the project. But in this image, you can see that it's very clear that the highest percentage is on the top right there. And that is probably why a lot of the ounces are measured and indicated, because they are very condensed within this project. So that also means that once they start mining this project, they don't need to move a lot of ore in order to get to the actual profitable parts of this deposit, because a lot of the minerals are located at the top of the deposit. That is, of course, a good thing for the economics of this project. That is probably also why the company states that it is profitable to mine this property at $12.50 silver, even though silver is at $60 right now. In this image, you can see a key part of the feasibility study, and that is the mining design. They have a potential pit that they have designed, a milling house, ore stockpiles, and a waste facility. They have a mill right here, meaning that they will mill this on site. And for this property, I have decided to look into milling and into producing gold itself. Disclaimer, I don't know too much about this. This is the edge of my knowledge right now, and over the years I will probably get better at this, but for now this is all that I can come up with. As far as I understand, the property itself is pretty easy to mine, and it's pretty easy to process as well. The company will start with crushing the ore twice to get it to a very small size, and then they will use a flotation circuit to separate the zinc, lead, and silver from the rest of the rocks. And through that flotation circuit, they will actually get most of the silver, zinc, and lead out of this rock. Probably missing a lot of things in here right now, so if there is somebody who does understand how this all works and if they would like to explain it to me, please leave a comment so that I can understand ore crushing and processing a little bit better in the future. I would love to learn a lot more about that. Anyway, this is the Cordero Project. This is the main project why I bought Discovery Silver about a year ago now. I love the fact that they have a big silver deposit in Mexico, potential open pit, one of the largest silver deposits in the world right now. I love everything about that. But after I've owned it for a little bit, they decided to buy the Porcupine Mining Complex from Newmont. And the Porcupine Mining Complex is located in Ontario, Canada. And it is a mining complex with two operating mines right now and one processing plant. It is estimated that the mines that they do still have a 22-year mine life, and they have an expected output of about 285,000 ounces of gold per year. This property has a measured and indicated amount of gold of 3.9 million ounces and an inferred resource of 12.5 million ounces of gold. So where you saw that in the Cordero Project there were a lot of ounces in the measured and indicated section, here there are a lot of ounces in the inferred section. So that means that for this property they will probably need to do a little bit more drilling to get the ounces from the inferred category to the measured and indicated category. But to see that there is a big potential amount of gold ounces in the ground still is very good, given the fact that this project has been mined for a long time by its previous owners. I have looked up this project on Google Maps, and you can see that it is located near the town of Timmins. The town Timmins has been growing and created because of this gold mine, because it was so big. There is one mine right there. This is a old mine. Then you have the Dome, then you have the Pamour, and you have the Holly mine, and those words will not mean anything to you right now, but in this image I will explain to you what the mining complex actually entails, what it exists of, and what the potential for the future will be. So the Porcupine Mining Complex is a complex made out of 6 different things. It is made out of the Dome Mill, which is a 12,000 ton per day milling operation. It consists of the Holy Pond mine. That is the mine where the COO of this company, Discovery Silver, has worked on in the past. And that is why that connection was so important, because this is a currently producing mine, which is of course very interesting if you buy it and your COO has already worked on that property. Porcupine Complex also has the Burden mine, which is also a producing mine. They have the Pamour mine, which is a mine that is not currently in operations, but the company Discovery Silver is planning to reopen this mine somewhere next year. They have the Dome mine, which is currently closed, and they have the Hollinger, which is inactive and that has been mined out. There's probably nothing left there. So if we then go back to this image, you can see that the Dome mine is located right there. The Pamour mine is located right there. The Holy mine, the Holy Pond mine, is located right there. And then there is one mine that we haven't talked about yet. That is the Burden mine, which is producing, but that is located about 160 kilometers away. And how the company actually produces all the ores that come from this entire complex get milled and processed in the Dome mill. So that means that the Burden mine, even though it is about 160 kilometers away, they truck haul those ores all the way to the Dome mill to process it there. All the processing happens in one facility. That is, of course, good for production costs because it keeps the cost low. Right now, we will go into each and every one of these mining operations to see what they entail and to get a better view of the entire project. So this is the Holy Pond mine. This is an underground mine which has been mined out quite a bit, but there are still a lot of resources left in the mine. In this image, all the gray area is the area that has already been mined out, and all the shooting stars are the drill holes that the previous company, Newmont Mining, has already put into this property to find new resources. But even though a lot of this project has been mined out, you can see here that there are still a lot of resources left. A lot of the resources are indicated in here, so there is some confidence that they are there, but there is probably more drilling needed to get a better understanding of the resources. But this mine is in production right now, and so is the Burden mine. The Burden mine is also an underground mine. You can see the resources right here. This is also where a lot of the inferred resources are located. The measured resources in red, the yellow ones are the indicated, and the inferred ones are the dark blue. So you can see that there are a lot of inferred resources still there. Discovery Silver thinks that there are more ounces in here, and they have a potential prospective resource that goes all the way here. It has a tail at the end of it. But this mine is in operations as well. This is an underground mine, and this is the facility. So what happens is they get the ore, put it in a truck it down to the Dome mill about 160 kilometers away, and they process it there. Then we have the Pamour mine. This is a non-operational mine right now. They are looking at restarting this mine somewhere next year, and you can see that it is located on the complex itself. This area has already been mined, and this area is the remaining pit that they still have. This is what the resource looks like. Again, the yellow is the indicated resource, and the blue is the inferred resource. So there's a lot of blue in here, which means that the company has to do a lot more drilling to get a better understanding of this rock before they actually start to mine all of it. And the company has also got some interesting drill targets to potentially increase the amount of ounces that this deposit has. And then we have the Dome mine. At the moment, the Dome mine is a glorified hole in the ground. As you can see here, a lot of this deposit has already been mined up. There is a potential that there will be some more resources in here. But as you can see here, there is already a big hole in this ground. Potentially there is some more resources below that or next to it. I wonder if the company is going to prioritize this mine over the other three, but they still have it. It's on the property, so that's of course very good. Then they got the Hollinger mine that is located right there, right next to the town. All of these dots on this property are drill holes. This is a past producing mine, and looking at the amount of drill holes that this project already has, we can probably say with a lot of certainty that all the ounces that were in this area have been found and have been mined up. So I don't expect much to come out of the Hollinger mine again, but definitely the more interesting parts of this whole complex are the mill, are the Pamour mine, the Burden Mine, and the Holy Pond Mine. So you have 3 very valuable deposits and a milling operation on site that is currently already producing, and the company plans to up the production to its nameplate capacity, so that is 12,000 tons per day, by about 2028. So this company, led by the CEO, is going to follow in the same footsteps as Crickland Gold did by increasing their production, and then who knows what happens afterwards. That is only a guess, of course. So the company has also identified some new prospecting targets, some new drilling targets, and you can see that these are the targets on the property itself that the company looks to drill in. Who knows, maybe something will come out of that. If we look at the potential deposit value that this company currently has, we can see that things will get pretty large pretty quickly with this company. There are measured ounces, there are indicated ounces and inferred ounces. Lead and zinc in this table are represented in pounds, not in ounces. If we look at the total amount of ounces, and for lead and zinc pounds, we have about 17.8 million ounces of gold. We have about 550 million ounces of silver, about 5.4 billion pounds of lead, and about 10 billion pounds of copper. If we put those numbers in here with the commodity prices of today, we can see that this deposit has a potential 15% buyout value of 17.7 billion. Now the company is already producing, but I use this buyout value as a sort of a speculative guess as to how much somebody would buy this property for if they were to sell it in the future. And I would believe, based on my research, that that would be 17.7 billion. If we then look at the share structure, this company has 801 million shares outstanding, 4 million warrants, 11 million options, for a total fully diluted share count of 816 million. Currently, the share prices are about $5.69, giving this company a market cap of $4.6 billion. Top investors in this stock are Eric Sprott, and that is also how I know about this stock, how I knew about this stock. And before they bought the Porcupine Mining Complex, I was doing some research into the holdings of Eric Sprott. I looked at all the companies that he held. This was one of his top positions. I like the company and the management as well, so I decided to invest in it. If you guys would be interested in a series where I look at big investors and see what they invest in, what their top positions are, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll look at that in the future. That will be very interesting. Newmont Corporation, being the old owner of the Porcupine Complex, owns 8.5% of this company. That ownership has come through the sale of the Porcupine Complex, so Newmont would like some of the benefit if they start developing this project. The stock is also included in the GDXJ and the SilJ, so it has a lot of investment capital coming from ETFs as well, and that is always good to see. However, I couldn't find much about the insider investments, and I couldn't find a split between retail and big investors. So this part of the presentation I left blank. Then looking at the balance sheet, I want to start giving you guys a little bit more insight into the balance sheets of these companies, what I do and what I don't look at. Starting off with the assets of this company, I always look at the cash and the cash equivalents that the company has. You can see that this company holds $340 million cash on their balance sheet. That is an exceptional amount of cash, especially for a company that is also producing gold right now. They have income, they have profits, and they have a lot of cash. That is a good combination to see. They also, of course, have some liabilities. Some big liabilities for this project are the reclamation liabilities. A reclamation liability is basically the liability that you have to the government to restore the land once you're done mining it. So let's say you make a mine somewhere, an open pit, and you make a big old hole in the ground. Once you are done mining, you of course have to restore the land as to what it was previously, so you have to put all the dirt back into the ground, and for that the company calculates that they need about 466 million. They don't have to pay that now, of course, they have to pay that at some point in the future, but as of right now, the company has to pay $32 million for the reclamation liabilities. You can also see that the company has some deferred revenue, about 277 million. The deferred revenue is a part of a royalty deal that they did with Franco-Nevada, and This is part of the financing that they had to do to buy the Porcupine Mining Complex. And that means that Franco-Nevada owns a 4.25% royalty on the gold that comes out of the Porcupine Complex. They have that in 2 stages. Eventually, they will be left with a 2% royalty after they've paid off the debt. But you can see that the debt is right now 277 million, and that will continue to increase over time if they don't start producing. But the company is starting to produce right now, so over time this will drop, although that is going to be a damper on the profitability for the project itself. Once this deferred revenue liability is gone, the company will make more profit. But if we look at the actual revenues and the expenses of the project itself, you can see that in the 3 months ending on September 30th, the company had $240 million in revenue with about $100 million in production costs, giving them about 90 million in earnings. And if we subtract all the expenses, you can see that the company has a net income of $42 million. So the company already has a lot of cash. They are producing gold. They are ramping up production, and they are currently already profitable. They were profitable in Q3, which means that was at a lower gold price than they have today. So they will be more profitable today with more ounces, with more cash. This company is on a good trajectory forward, in my opinion. If we look at my statement of this balance sheet for the 3 months ending on the 30th of September, you can see that the company has about $340 million in cash, about $1.1 billion in liabilities. Well, we looked at the reclamation liabilities and the deferred revenue, which are a big part of this. They are both non-current, but they have to be paid at some point. So these liabilities definitely need to be taken into account. You can see that the company has about 8 million in G&A activities. That is calculated by adding the $3.5 million that they've spent in salaries, the $1.8 million that they've spent in professional fees, the 1.4 million in share-based payments, and 1.25 million in their office expenses. If you add all of that up, you get about 8 million. And for that 8 million, they spend about 6 million in exploration. If you combine these two numbers, you get about $14 million that this company spends in exploration and G&A activities. Well, that is about $56 million a year. But we've also seen that the company is currently already producing profits that well exceed this amount. So this company has no need right now, in my opinion, to issue new shares. And that is a very big difference between all the companies that we have previously looked at and this one. Discovery Silver currently has the cash and currently has the income to stop diluting its existing shareholders, which makes me, of course, extremely happy because I do own a lot of shares of Discovery Silver. It is my largest position, and I plan to keep it that way for the foreseeable future. However, if we look at the shares outstanding last year, you can see that they had about 400 million shares outstanding. This year, they have about 800 million shares outstanding. I got diluted for about half my position when they've bought the Porcupine Mining Complex, but dilution isn't always bad, because I think that the acquisition of the Porcupine Mining Complex has added tremendous value to the shares that I hold. So I'm actually very glad that they've diluted me. If we then look at the projected value, we can see that the company is valued by me, by my calculations, at $17.8 billion right now. They have about 816 million shares outstanding for a share price of $5.69. I don't believe that the company is going to dilute me any further because they do have the cash coming in to cover the exploration and the G&A expenses. However, to keep this calculation in line with the rest of the calculations that I've done, I'm going to use the dilution rate that they've done between last year and this year, which was 50%. But you can see that the potential multiple, so the difference between the 15% buyout value of the deposit and the current market cap, is about 3.8 times. So meaning that if the company would have been bought out right now for 15% of that deposit, you would be expected to make 3.8 times your money. But that drops with every year that goes by, and it drops below 1, so a guaranteed loss after 5 years if the company dilutes the way that they've been diluting throughout last year. As being stated, I don't believe that they will do that because this was a one-time dilution event based on the acquisition of the Porcupine Mining Complex. I don't believe that they will be buying a complex like that every single year, so I don't believe that the dilution will go on. In recent events, Discovery Silver announced positive drilling results from all operations at the Porcupine Mining Complex. So that means that they are actively drilling at the mining complex to see if they can increase the amount of ounces that they have and increase the mine life of the mines that are currently in operations. That is, of course, a very interesting thing to see. You can also see with these news releases that they've definitely switched up their attention from their silver deposit in Mexico to their operations at the Porcupine Complex in Ontario, Canada. So I would like to actually see what happens to the mining project in Mexico once they get the permits or once they get a decision about the permits. Because if that gets into operation as well, Discovery Silver can really be set up to become a massive, massive company. They have also reported that they are producing right now about 63,000 ounces of gold for, about $85 million in free cash flow. This means that they can stop diluting their shareholders because this covers more than their G&A expenses and their drilling that they are doing right now. This is very positive for me as a shareholder. They have also announced a couple management positions, so you can see that the management is even getting bigger, adding onto my concerns that maybe this company in the future will have a too bloated management structure because they're adding even more managers to here. So that is one of the only downsides that I see in this company as of right now. In recent news as well, you can see that the share price of this company has increased rapidly. So this is about 2022. You saw that the company rose up in price. It hasn't done anything in that whole time but go down, and then they've bought the Porcupine Mining Complex, and you can see that the share price about tenfolded since the bottom there. And that is a very interesting thing because even at this price that the company is at right now, which is about what was it? Let's go back real quick, which is about a $4.6 billion market cap. Even now, I think there is still tremendous upside in this company. Based on my calculations and based on my opinion, I still own a lot of shares. It is still my biggest position, and I will keep holding on to this because I think that a lot of things can potentially play out pretty bigly for Discovery Silver. So, in my opinion, this company has a big team which has worked together in the past and created success in the past. That is a big plus for me. They have multiple very big projects. They have the largest undeveloped silver deposit in the world right now. They have 2 producing mines. They have another mine that is currently in the startup phase and is probably going into production in 2026. They have a big land package with potential exploration, giving them a very big deposit value. And although more drilling is needed, the drilling can be financed by their operations and by their mining complex that they have right now. And that is very positive for me as a shareholder. Even though the company's share price has risen a lot in the past years, I still believe that there is tremendous value in this stock because I still believe that the deposit that they own right now, the Porcupine Mining Complex and their Cordero Project, are still valued by the market below what they are actually worth. I own the stock. It's my largest position. I will keep owning this stock. Everything about this company looks great, and really that's what I want to leave it at. We will look at this in the future when things have changed, maybe once the permit decision comes in, maybe once they've started production at the other mining complexes. As of now, that is all that I wanted to say. I want to thank you for watching. Leave a like on the video if this helped you in any way. Subscribe to the channel for new videos and leave a comment on what you would like to see next. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.